Yeah, yikes.
Okay, we're recording.
Alright, at 6:30, I'll bring the meeting to order. First up, modifications and changes.
We do have a modification. So we are gonna talk about Heather's, but we're gonna wait for her to get here. So I think you folks are on the email, so she did get a grant. We approved the fiduciary fund. So we just gotta, I guess, go back and approve. Do we open it? And then we gotta state what you would like to do with, or state that the funds are gonna be used for a youth center, if not a backup for those funds. But we can go over that when she gets here.
That wasn't an agenda, was it?
No.
Okay, so we'll add that later.
And then, I don't know if he'll show up or not. The head VASPA guy for ATVs in the area.
Oh, vast,
That's it.
VASPA,
vast, okay. What does he want?
was interested in stopping by. They're trying to figure out a route to get to Kathy's somehow. I think he may know the route, but he didn't tell me the route, but.
From my understanding, they want to be able to come down Water Tower and then hook over to Kathy's. So,
Yeah.
State highway,
right.
They can cross it, but they can't,
Right.
because I had mentioned something else and he said we can't go down, but we can cross. So, I don't know if he'll show up or not.
Okay. We will keep a lookout for him then. Alright. Public comment. Anybody here from the public tonight who wishes to speak?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Forever hold your peace.
There you go.
Review and approval for the minutes, May 9th. If everyone got a chance to look those over and don't see any errors or anything left out, I'll hear a motion to accept them.
They look fine, I move we accept.
Alright, Sandy with the first, Leonard with the second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Final acceptance and signature for the modifications to parks use permit.
Everything that we had talked about last time had been updated. I don't know if you got to review it, but it should all be in there. So I guess
It's all in there.
just grab a copy and we can sign off on it if you feel we wish to do that. I have a copy of it. Sure.
It was kind of funny reading the old stuff.
Yeah.
I'll give it back.
Um,
I'll give it back.
yeah, you can.
Quick read.
What was that thing?
Or you can use any one of them, but. But basically the days we changed and there's one other section we changed in there. That's the old one.
Yep.
7 or 5 days?
This is the one that,
To us 5?
Yeah.
that has the held on the blank day of in 2023 is the newest one, right?
Right.
Yeah, last update is 2003.
So for those, I guess, in the
Good
public,
20-year look.
we essentially changed so that the rules are basically the ordinance is gonna follow what it had for Harvest Fest, or kind of any festival. So if alcohol wanted to be served, they would have to follow the state and DLC guidelines, but it would be a possibility.
Not just a tasting thing, but whatever the state says that particular festival needs to do.
So yeah, I guess I need a motion to accept the draft and we all have to sign it.
Move. Second.
You have the first and Sandy has the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. Alright, it's unanimous. Today's what, 23rd?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's 23rd, 23rd.
Just not the 23rd month. That would have
Thankfully.
been, cool.
I think we had
23
I think we had
would
23 or
have been
20.
kind of scary.
I think we had 23 months a couple years ago. Felt
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, those are COVID months.
It's a right-handed pen, Leonard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really kind of funny reading some of the other stuff that I'd kind of forgotten. It was like, oh, don't walk here, don't go there, don't touch that.
So, we gotta fill in the effective date, just,
Today.
today
Or
is
should we-
Supposedly Heather will be here
Today
later.
or when we warn it?
Typically, it's most of
By the
those
train
are
sign
the day
goes
that you
to-
guys sign
It
it,
never comes out.
Yeah.
because it differs
right,
by.
okay, it says unless a petition seeking
Yeah.
disapproval. So both of these dates are today.
Yep.
There's a prompt, so who's that?
Oh, there, that should make life a little easier.
Okay. Up next, we have NBRC authorized agent. What does NBRC stand for again?
It's the Northern Borders Regional Commission. It is a grant opportunity that we submitted a letter of intent for, and we were asked to apply for the grant. It's due next Friday, I believe, and the grant would be to cover part of the interconnection costs for the solar project. It's very competitive, but we got asked to apply, so that was the first step. And I'm the point of contact for it, therefore I cannot be the authorized agent. So my ask is, and there needs to be a formal motion making John the authorized agent, so it just means there'll be a form he has to
We
sign.
can't do that, he's too noisy.
He is quite noisy.
Okay, so we need a motion
Is
for,
the motion to appoint John as the authorized agent for the Northern Borders Regional Commission grant?
I will move that we make John the authorized agent for the NBRC grant.
thank you for nominating, let me say it again. We have Sandy with the first, and Eli with the second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, next we have allowing an exception for the EBA park permit for the summer concert series. That's the alcohol stuff, right?
Right, so again, simply just reiterated, it. You can just state it, you know, the allowance of it for those concerts. And or you can say, you know, just word it as in we approve the EBCA concert series to follow the guidelines of the Harvest Fest. Full ordinance.
The old one?
Yes, the old ordinance,
Right.
or the existing ordinance.
Well, the old one was just tasting. Yeah. So if we
Yeah, it's
use,
just Harvest Fest anyway.
yeah, Harvest Fest was just tasting events. It
And then you
wasn't
can just go
consumption.
off of what we have,
Okay,
Yeah, off of the new ordinance that was.
right.
yes.
So I will move that we allow EBCA their permit for the summer concert series with alcohol consumption following our new guidelines and all of the guidelines of the state of Vermont DLC.
Okay, Sandy has the first, Eli has the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Yeah, that one's unanimous as well.
She's being too easy on you, not making you say it.
I know, right? I like this.
I know you hate all those words.
Next, EFEDC appointment.
We're looking to have Sandy appointed to the EFEDC board as the second village representative.
So we would have Raph and Sandy.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that you're gonna, no, that's fine. Yeah, motion to accept Sandy as the EFEDC appointment.
Move. I'll second that.
Eli with the second and Leonard with the third. All those in favor say aye.
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 And they may throw me out anyway because I couldn't make today's meeting.
No, we're not throwing you out. You're still stuck with it.
Okay, up next we have Catherine Bennett with painting of crosswalks around
Can
the
we
school.
fit her in when she gets here? She had something and we'll be here closer to 7.
We
Thank you.
will
Move
postpone
as
that
needed.
one until she gets here. Okay. Review bid and estimates for Railroad Museum roof.
So you should have all 3 estimates.
We took out the combined one.
Have all two.
Doing that.
Okay, 2. So we met with David and Shirley So we only got one bid on the roof for the Railroad Museum. And we basically, there was one extra in there that was a combination of shingles and then the bottom portion was standing seam, but didn't really make sense. So we kind of narrowed it down to the two bids, either go shingles or go standing seam. I guess my opinion was I agreed with the standing seam one. So we need to look to an approval to move forward with that. I don't know, David, you want to speak? Because I know Shirley, you guys had a meeting last night.
We did, and there was a vote of the members that were there to go with a stand-in seam roof. I'm a little amiss that we only have one bid. We don't have anything to compare to. I don't know the background of NB construction. I don't know what materials he's planning on using or how he's planning on installing the roof. There's certain ways to do it that are proper and certain ways that are not. The gauge of the metal of the roof makes a big difference.
Oh, it's not
I would
listed
like-
here.
And Shirley says we can't, but I would like to contact the Preservation Committee and see if the grant or the chance to have bids solicited after the 26th could be submitted. Rather than having the
That was our
deadline.
grant due.
The bid has to be submitted by the
Yeah,
26th.
submit it Friday, this for the historical preservation grant that they got, which will give them $20,000 towards the repair of the roof, which they have to match with $20,000. The deadline to submit the bid, where we have to say, yes, we're going with this bid, is Friday.
And is it just because the municipality has to be on the bid?
No, the historical society got the grant. The reason this is before you is because we own the building.
Dave?
Yeah.
Just one question. Has anyone looked, does this include the structure? Or this is just the roof surface?
This is
It
structure.
also includes some underlay work, replanting the chimney,
Want to read that?
And the drooping eaves?
in
Yep.
the eaves. Those are stated separately from the actual stripping of the roof and putting on the sheet.
He gave me a copy of it. I told him to break it down.
And so that,
Said he added it in.
the preservation grant, that just for the roof or is that for every structure?
That'll cover the roof, which is the 45,000.
Okay.
It was for them to redo the roof, and then there's also I believe the chimneys on there to be repointed, and then
Yep.
to fix the eaves that are sagging and any rot that they may potentially come across, if there is any.
Does anybody know if the bid that was on the shingled roof gives us any kind of indication as to the quality of the shingles? Because I know shingle roofs come in many different qualities and therefore, like a 10-year guarantee and a 50-year guarantee and a 5-minute guarantee.
Pretty much. I had a conversation with my son tonight, or this afternoon. He's currently in London, England, but he wasn't drinking Guinness at the moment, so we had a good conversation. He's owns GNR Roofing in New Hampshire and does mainly sheet metal for stand-in seam roofs. He does copper roofs, he does slate roofs, all sorts of stuff like that. So he's been giving me some guidance as to what to look for and what not to do. And he's not recommending that the society or the village go with a shingle type roof at the moment. He says the material is not as good as it used to be. And probably not asphalt anymore. He said a lot of times it's gonna be fiberglass, and may not last as long. Even though it might have a 15-year warranty on it, your chances of it lasting that long may not be there.
Well, that's good to know.
So you were saying you want to reach out to Preservation to see if they'll give us an extension?
I would like to see if we could do that and get
Get more bids.
more bids.
I'm waiting here.
It's kind of late to do that, but it was late before the whole bid process took place.
Very possible to do it.
And I think they would, but Shirley hasn't reached out to ask them.
Worst case scenario, that would push us back a year.
No, we've got until
December 2024.
24 to get the job completed. It may put the grant process behind. They've got a tight schedule as to when they get all the work in, all the bids in and everything else, and start looking at them and saying, okay, yeah, you're okay, we accept this bid. And then there's other things we have to do and other things they have to do before we can get the approval to go ahead with it.
I do know Shirley reached out previously a year or two ago when they first started the conversation about the grant and the roof. They did receive a couple bids at that time. Shirley did reach out to those contractors again to see if they'd be willing to resubmit, and no one got back to her. They were just roofing contractors, though. It wouldn't have covered the repairs that need to be made either, and
And
so,
that was shingle too before, right? Because they made a
and
change
it
order.
was substantial. It was,
Yeah.
I think, 63,000,
58.
something in
So,
that,
low 60s.
somewhere in that
That was
ballpark.
for shingle.
With no repair work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we're talking all the repair work and a new standing seam roof for 10,000
54.
less than that.
There are other standing seam specialists who have not been asked to do a bid.
There was a open bid out, and I think it was on Front Porch Forum. Shirley had posted a bunch of
Not
different
everybody
places.
sees from Birch.
She had it a bunch of other places as well.
She had it open, yeah.
It's been open for, I think, a month.
I think at this point, when people have their schedules, that's.
I know people that have not been asked to bid. and they would like to.
Well,
Names and-
nobody was asked to bid.
You don't ask, you advertise to bid. We're not necessarily calling every contractor that they know to bid, to ask them
I'm
to bid.
just saying
It's
there
put
are
out
some
publicly.
specialists who have not done the bid and that would perhaps be interested in doing that, who would be a very good result.
So let me ask you this, does our procurement policy extend to buildings in which the lease states the leasee is responsible for repair?
No.
Nick
I'm not
says
sure how you
24
wanna do
gauge
this
on the steel. He wants to know.
It's known around the area.
No, he said it's gonna be 24 gauge standing seam.
He did.
This bid that's here.
I just asked him.
Well, I wouldn't know if that was good, bad, or indifferent.
It's pretty thick.
The comment from my son was not to use 26.
Right, that's too thin.
So as far as tonight goes, what are we looking for? Do you want to wait and get more bids?
And like,
Well, it's up to
sounds like the
state,
grant's
right?
gonna
If
go by.
the grant- If the grant was, there was a deadline on the grant, right?
It's a deadline for submitting
Right, and
our
that's,
approved bid to them, which is Friday.
Does that mean we have to go with
last
the
night.
approved bid, or if we get say another contractor that'll do it for
We did
I
that.
think it's whatever you submit Friday is the bid that you're saying that you're going with, is my understanding.
What is it, a dollar amount or a specific contractor?
Right.
That I'm not sure.
If we
It'd be
approve,
probably a specific contract because we have to have the W-9.
Yeah,
and
W-9,
it's
certificate of insurance, everything. It's a very specific step-by-step process, and I've never worked with this grant, so I don't know if they'll let him extend or not.
personally, I'm comfortable with Nick. He's one of the ones working on my building up there. I think he's a good guy. He's not out to get anybody.
I feel as though he's a decent vote too. I mean, he's gonna be a guy that you can work with as well, you know, I mean, if things go, I need another, he's not gonna be, he's a pretty pliable guy, he'll do the right thing.
Yeah.
So do we want to,
That's my suggestion.
I would say that this, the third item on here, the ease, That structure, $2,500, sounds like a good deal to me.
The restructure part?
Yeah.
Where's he got 4,500?
Yeah.
And actually, after talking to Nick, the second one down, obviously depending, I mean, he went up and looked in the attic, could see from the bottom up, but if there is some rot on top of the plywood, it might change, but at this point, actually, item number 2 is kind of scratched, some of that work would need to be done for standing seam.
Right, that's the whole point of the conversation before, is the way that they built it. There was big gaps and knot holes and stuff, and they couldn't shingle over that.
They can't shingle over that.
Right.
But with standing seam, that's not an issue.
As much,
But
yeah.
they would,
Right.
there should be an underlayment
I think
under the,
he's still planning on putting 7/16 OSB down to flatten the whole roof
Yeah, it's
out.
right
And
here.
Yeah.
then put an underlayment and then the roof. But with that, I talked to him, he plans on like, there's like some big cornices that hold the whole overhang up, just kind of shove everything the way up, get everything back where it needs to be, resheathe the thing, and then, start back 100 years back and hope for the best. And it took 100 years to slouch the 3 inches that it does now, and maybe we'll get another 100 years out of it.
Right.
That's what his plan, I mean, he's $20,000 lower than the last shingle bid over the stand seam.
where the standing seam. Mhm.
Yeah, that's what the restructuring.
Right.
Yeah. And the grant covers this, all right?
Not, it might some of the work, some of the repair work, yeah, but if we're gonna spend 45,000 on the standing seam roof, it's more than gonna give us the full 20,000.
Right.
Because it's a matching grant.
That and it kind of makes sense, because of the way I understand the grant, they only give you what you need. So if it was 28,000 and we had 14, they'd give us 14, so we're kind of getting our bang for the buck.
And on this, the only thing I'd ask for maybe is some ice. The
Ice and
snow
water
keepers,
shield?
or just, not ice and water shield, but just the things that would keep stuff from being, the snow from plunking onto the entryways and stuff. That would have to be an add-on, I would guess. They put some dams up there in strategic areas, it doesn't have to be on the whole place.
Over the
The snow
doors.
falls off the other side, but over the doors and shit, and not a lot of money. But and that may be somebody else's forte too, maybe Nick doesn't do it, but there's guys that come in and just like a gutter company puts those things on.
Garrett wasn't recommending anything to do with any snow dams or anything, because of the weight, some of the weight of the
There's
snow
no-
in the
so it's
winter,
not
there's no
gonna
need
happen.
for it.
It's not
I said
necessary.
maybe no parking signs in the winter.
Yeah. And it also says the disclaimer is this is an estimate if there's a
Yeah.
change in the cost of materials.
Right.
You're not open in the winter anyway, right?
No,
Building
but
itself.
people at Ace Hardware always park there, or
Right.
Bates or someplace. But we could probably protect the society and the village by, okay, snow might fall off the roof, don't park here.
That'd be the biggest problem, would be the snow's gonna launch off that.
Yeah.
In the wrong days, it will.
Yeah.
It'll end up in somebody's truck, because
Happened
somebody's
at my
gonna park
garage,
there.
I had to replace it, actually, end of the something.
Yeah, and I guess my thoughts were over the doors and stuff, when you think about the whole side of that building, yeah, you probably don't wanna load it up with snow on the eaves across, because it's got a 8-foot overhang or something.
Something to think about anyway.
Yeah, for sure, I guess, I'm the one that suggested the snow belt on it to Nick, that's where he came up with that number, because that kinda gives you the best of both worlds, it gives you the edges where stuff doesn't stick, but you're not getting 20 feet of snow sliding off the roof.
Yeah. Okay, so if we're comfortable with this, then do you wanna have the board give Historical Society permission to accept this bid?
He's looking to push it
They're
out.
lacking some money, aren't they?
Hmm?
They're lacking some money, the whole project.
Well, we might, depending on how everything goes, we're short about
About 3,000, I think. is what you're doing.
$3,000.
But if that second line item comes out, then you're gonna be fine.
I'm not sure it's gonna, because if he doesn't put down plywood, he's gotta put something down under there.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be putting plywood down. The restructure, I think, included the lifting the eaves up and
Yeah.
My God, you got this far, I wouldn't hold it up over 3,000.
I mean, what's the worst
No,
case
there's
scenario? You don't
Yeah,
get the money.
Or something.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm sure there's a way you can figure it out.
We can always budget for it next year, because it'll be next year.
Right.
So if our board votes to allow the Historical Society to accept this bid, does that mean that they have to? Like, what if the state gives them an extension on the deadline and they get a better bid? Do they don't have to accept this when we allowed them to? So do you want to word it like that? So if you get an extension, then
Say contingent.
Is there
Yeah.
somebody that's gonna pursue this extension?
So
I
would
guess
you
would be the
break lines
question.
right
Gonna
now
pursue
for
the
me,
next
please?
2 days.
3 days, yeah. I will make sure
That would
it
be
gets
you.
done.
That would be you asking the questions. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not.
I think it's probably should be rather than,
Well, yeah, but some, which,
rather
Hi,
than,
Shirley.
but somebody will be.
yeah.
fair, because we're not gonna be getting
Yeah.
it.
Middle budget's a little,
There she is.
Yeah, so that's probably what I would like to see, but,
Okay,
um,
let's do that then. That way, it takes the time constraint off everybody.
Noise we're trying to figure out.
and they may not. If they don't, then we submit this one.
Must be the table.
It's the table.
it's gotta be the table.
Okay, I will hear a motion from our board to allow the Historical Society to accept this bid from NB Construction LLC. Contingent that the state doesn't allow them an extension.
You're approving the standing seam.
The standing seam, yeah, sorry.
I'll second that.
54,000, okay, so Eli with the first, Leonard with the second, all those in favor say aye.
I
And those opposed, nay. Okay, that's unanimous,
Catherine is here, can we jump back to her if you don't mind?
for sure.
We moved along a little bit faster, we were just one ahead, you're fine.
Boy, I apologize.
No.
Rush right through these, don't you? Make my job easy.
I think everybody knows me. I'm with the rec committee, and just a little background on why I'm here and why I'm asking for what I'm asking for. I'm not sure what Abby shared with you. The rec was awarded a grant to engage the youth in the community through arts and beautification. So the thought process was for the students to suggest what they want to see added to the community for art of any medium. It could have been birdhouses or pollinator gardens or anything. It was very open-ended. To help really engage them to feel invested and proud of this community. I think their perspective is very important and we need to listen to it. Google poll went out, and one of the themes that we heard was spreading school spirit throughout the village, which I found very interesting and unexpected, quite truthfully, but it really does make sense because the school's right there. Given that there was already an art installation of a hornet right in downtown, I thought it appropriate to revisit the thought process of spreading school spirit in the crosswalks. Specifically, there were 3 I had in mind. The crosswalk that goes from the elementary school to the Brownway River Trail, the main one, which would be the one that connects the ball fields, and then on the other side of the school, more towards Lincoln Park, that students use to go to Cold Hollow and connects them to the rest of the village. Yesterday I was approached and said I would add this on, although I do think it might be a little much to ask, perhaps. They wanted to know if they could write hornets on the crosswalk, probably as it pertains to the ball fields. And I said I would ask, and in addition to or in lieu of, perhaps they could write hornets or actually with a stencil or freehand a hornet on the sidewalk next to the crosswalk, because I believe that that's not under V-Trans. Is that correct?
I don't believe so, it's
Yeah.
our sidewalk.
Something
Right,
inside
it would be
the
village.
Correct,
So-
the Village Street.
That's why I'm here. I have students on board to help with the project, and obviously it's funded through the grant. Gary had given us the quote, so.
It's the same cost if we did like white and green. The green paint is the same price with Steve Mack, MT Striping, who typically does all of ours. It is the same exact price to do the green.
So you're thinking just like a white and green stripe?
Correct, so the white's done already, it would just be filling in with the green, and I do have photos if you want the visual of the different sidewalks. So these are the 3, and this would be the one that I think they had hoped they could write hornets on, and maybe do a hornet on the sidewalk.
Right,
I think we could do the sidewalk, but I don't know that you can.
right, I know the sidewalk's fair game, I know there's certain laws that pertain to crosswalks.
Yeah,
Like, I know that color's one of them, some kind of,
The sidewalks
I think you
have
can do
a
the
line
color
right
as
there,
long
you know,
as-
there. Doesn't the sidewalk also have a little nipple?
Yes.
yeah,
In the
that,
beginning,
we
but
paint
there's
on that
still-
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you'd probably be painting it.
And it's only like half of the sidewalk section, so there's still a good section where they'd be able to. I know there are laws on it, but I think as long as it's not like a fluorescent distracting color, like I think the green, they would be.
So in between the white bars, you can get away with more
For what
color.
everything that I have read, I think we would be fine.
Red brick color.
Yeah.
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 I lived in West Springfield, Massachusetts for a number of years, and there was a lot of school spirit and other spirit down there. The one thing that probably wouldn't go here, they made the school mascot a fiberglass. And some company made these, and businesses around town and individuals, parents of the students, et cetera, would take one and paint it, and it would be either in front of a business or in a public spot, would not only support the school itself, but the business. And then the other thing they did was to paint, it was a big Irish community down there. They painted clover leaves in people's driveways and got donations for painting the clover leaf in the driveway. You could do a hornet in the driveway.
yes, I've talked to the principal about accessing the stencil that was used on the gym floor to do in the parking lots. I'm not sure the condition that it's still in.
But yeah, you go out to the parents and you might get enough parents to say, I'll put one in my driveway.
Yeah.
Were you planning on stenciling the crosswalks too? Or just painting just straight green and white?
Just straight green and white was the original thought process. I'm not sure what is allowable.
Right.
And I think that was sort of the exploration that I needed to have.
No, I say as long as you're legal.
Yeah.
I don't have a reason with.
Follow all the rules.
Yeah, and things are
And
pretty
they'll
clear
tell you.
and visible.
Yeah.
I've been to some communities where there's writing on the crosswalk. It's very distracting as a driver because you're trying to figure out what it says.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But I think as long as it's allowable and doable and safe, it'd be exciting.
Yeah.
So it'd just be the ones predominantly around the school block there.
Yeah, I would love to make it larger, but the grant's not going to make that possible.
One step at a time.
One step at a time.
Because that's a thorough, then you start getting to the state a little bit.
It's still our street, yeah. I mean, as long as it's not super distracting and right in the middle of everything, I think we got a little more leeway with side streets and stuff. But yeah, once we start, yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll hear a motion from the board to allow Catherine to paint the 3 previously discussed sidewalks, school themed and,
Dickinson.
sidewalks and crosswalks, the school themed colors. So I heard Eli with the first, you want a second, Leonard? Leonard have a second, all those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and those opposed nay.
Just don't let those hornets sting anybody.
I just wanted to clarify, because I will get asked, the sidewalks by these crosswalks are all, you're okaying all of them, or do you want to predominantly leave the sidewalks, the one connecting the field, and just have them write hornets there?
I think if they got enough paint,
Yeah, all
I'll
3
go for it.
is fine by me.
But you said to paint the same money anyway, right? If they pick a green and they do the one.
This is for the crosswalks. I think if I'm making the assumption if you're gonna be painting on the sidewalks, that's something separate that you guys will.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, they'll be very excited. And just a little side note that as I've been thinking about this, you know, we collectively, there's so many adults that we try to pull the kids into the community, but I think it's really important that we show them our pride in them. You know, I think we forget about that because we pay taxes and we go to meetings and stuff, but it's more than that for a 15-year-old. what is taxes? It's a really, it's just not a concrete idea for them.
Yeah, they'll figure it out later.
By the time they get there, they're $2 million a minute.
Right.
They realize
Well,
they're
thank you.
gonna stay
Thank you.
there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, if I haven't gotten lost, I think we're at People's Trust Review.
Which is a little deceiving.
This evening, yes.
Okay.
So we just wanted to, it partially has to do with People's Trust. So we have the extended warranty for the truck. And what it had to do with People's Trust was, we talked with our representative there, and she said if we needed to, because we've already closed on the loan, but they possibly could open it up if we do it ASAP. If we decide to go on the extended warranty, which was, and I put this, everybody has a copy of this, which is $12,000 for the extended warranty. That's the whole shebang on the warranty. So we do have a year, up to a year to decide on, and we can pick any one of these things. It doesn't have to be at all. But we have up to a year to sign up for any one of these. The only reason why we may want to rush this is because of our loan. If we do go back, if you folks decide to go with the whole 12,000, we'd have to go back to People's and they would adjust the loan for us. If we stay under about 3,000, then we shouldn't have to. There's a part of the budget we can use to pay for that. So I guess looking for your thoughts, I talked with Ken. You know, the biggest one that he felt would be needed was the emissions, just because of the electronics and so forth. You know, having issues there, he felt that would be the biggest thing that we could think of. The last truck we had only had 32,000 on it. He never even changed the brakes on it. Didn't even need the brakes changed in 9 years. He had it. So other than basically the main malfunction of the motor that everybody knew about, I mean, really, there wasn't much done to that truck in the 9 years and 32,000 miles.
Part of it comes down to faith in the product.
Yeah. The only thing I talked to Sandy, the sales rep at Charlie Boyce today, and the only thing he also would recommend is the towing. Again, he's a salesman, but
I own the towing company.
because he owns a towing company. Well, I mean, like he said, so anything. So we have. So another note. So we have 2-year warranty on it on the truck. All of the numbers you see, like 72 months, 60 months, you got to subtract the 24 months because actually the warranty starts now. So in theory, we already have 24 months of warranty, and then so if it's 72 months minus 24, so it's actually not a true 72 you're paying for. He just recommended the towing because if anything like, let's say in a week if something happens and it's got to get towed down to Charlie Boyce, that's not covered, the towing portion, just the repairs to whatever is under warranty. So
AAA. Just saying.
Triple Sam.
Yeah.
So that's what I have for information. I know some of you have some experience in this, so it's up to you folks, but that's kind of where it's at.
Here's where I look at Sam and Eli.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Normally towing wouldn't, $2,500 for towing, you wouldn't hit that normally, but you can go down a lot with emission stuff, like way more than it should. So that looks fine to me. The transmission, those Allisons are good. The axles, I would normally say no, but it's only $250, so might as well. For sure on the emissions, for sure on the engine. I don't know what chassis covers though.
How much was the engine?
It's 100,000 mile.
150,000 miles.
72,000, 72.
So like what specifically does it cover? Because everything else is kind of covered by gas.
It's transferable.
Yes, we had like chassis electrical issues or something.
Not typically. Get that, but
Yeah. Or front end maybe.
That's 120.
I think that'd be under
We put
assets.
another 32,000 on it.
That's what I'm saying, it's kinda ambiguous. And that's the heavy hitter one.
Alright, why is that one the most money?
Must be important.
Gotta be.
To somebody.
Yeah. I
I
don't
mean, you can
know.
burn up 12 grand in repairs pretty quick.
Exactly, it's 12,000 for everything, and that's a lot of peace of mind. We don't have to worry about anything. As we learned on our last truck, sometimes it doesn't pay to skimp out. 'Cause what was that head gasket? 19,000.
Something like that, yeah.
So
Is this like a deductible warranty or is it just all covered?
It's all covered.
now I thought we had this budgeted in the truck.
So we talked about it, but never kind of, and I think we said we were gonna go forward with it, and then it never actually, on Charlie Boyd's end, got factored into the number until we sat down with him to sign the papers, and it was, oh, here, what do you want for the extended warranty?
Cute.
So that's why we're kind of after the fact.
And so say again, what's with the 24? Is that added to the 72?
No,
No.
subtract.
No, so if you've got 84, like the
That's your
or the
grand
chassis,
total of everything.
you're only getting an extra 60 months essentially, because we already have a 2-year warranty, so it's not another 84 months after, it's 84 months in total.
Okay, so you're still covered for 84 months after
No.
No.
60
No.
months after.
60
after the original warranty expires.
Correct.
So you do have a total of 84 months of coverage.
Correct.
Okay, we're just gonna stick with that number.
Total.
Yeah, total. 84 months total, 72 months total.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I say we go them all. You could kick 12 grand in the
Real
DPF
quick.
and EGR. So this is
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah.
Starting with some bad def pumps or who knows.
I'll get the paper.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, People's Trust is gonna need a motion in order for them to modify the loan.
Okay, so motion for our board, from our board, to modify our loan for the new plow truck to include the new extended warranty package.
I'm also.
Eli with first, Leonard with a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay. So there was any People's Trust stuff or no? That was it?
That was it.
Okay.
In a roundabout way.
Alright. Next, Vital Village, a request to pursue the Vermont Bicycle and Pedestrian Grant, with a letter of support.
Do you mind going to hit these other folks first, or do you want to? I can. It's up to you.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're here for.
Yeah.
what's up, guys?
How you doing?
Good.
So, I'm Tim Joyle, president of the local ATV club. This is Matt, he's our trail coordinator. It's been brought to my attention that there's been some machines coming into the gas and stuff in town. So the people that brought it to my attention, the members, were asking if they could get some kind of way into town or to be legal to go to get gas. Because there's people doing it illegal and they don't want to get in trouble, so. And also we have, we'd like access to the lunch wagon that's up by Anchorage. Parkside. They mapped out a route and Vasa would be willing to help you guys put in an access.
Can I take a peek at that?
Yep, I only have 4 of them. I didn't know this meeting was gonna be so great.
Shares.
Which one do you want to talk about?
Right to all general practice
Alright,
Across the Eli's land up there.
through the national.
so you're thinking about coming
Should we get them
down
anyways?
through
Water tower.
the town
It's hard for me.
road by
Water
the
town at all.
emergency services building?
Yep.
And then across the driveway and then across
Straight
105
across, Yep.
to the Parkside from Water Tower.
It's out the intersection.
So currently Berkshire allows ATVs.
They do.
So Water Tower starts up, well, if you're, north, how many miles?
It's
Maybe
not
more.
very far.
Not even a mile. It's a dip. It's in the dip that we.
Yeah. With new pavement ends.
Yeah.
They're not new, but yeah. And then, how would you propose getting fuel?
That, I was just looking at that, and without state access, without them giving us access, I don't see it happening for a while. It would have to be brought to the state.
How's the state
The only
tracks?
other way we'd have to come, what's the road up there?
Colton Road?
Colton Road, we'd have to come down there and then
How is Sheldon? Do they allow
Sheldon's
ATVs?
always go
Sheldon's
down.
open.
Every highway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not highway, not state.
Well, not state highway.
Every road.
Okay. So yeah, you would be able to come out on Colton Road, and then that one may be easier because you could potentially hit private property behind the farms and then come
Right.
down, and you would only need to cross at the bottom of Orchard, and then you're pretty much right there.
Dodds are already working with us to get access to the Abbey too, so.
Okay. Okay.
There's plenty of people on board.
We're just trying to make it legal, rather than
Right.
everybody just running through and speeding, and,
So have you ever done it with any towns that you allow highways on, ATVs on specific routes only, and not on every?
Newport is, Newport and Derby.
Isn't Bakersfield that way too? It's on one side of
Bakersfield,
108, but
yeah.
not the other.
You never know it.
Well, yeah, you would never know
You're
it
not
there,
supposed to
but.
be on the west side.
Correct.
but that's where Bakersfield kicked Massa out,
Yeah.
and now they're on their own,
Right.
Because we got our liability insurance, everybody through Massa has to have their own insurance. There's even be able to ride,
In my experience, it's the non-VASA folks
Oh,
that
yeah,
are-
exactly.
are the ones that are.
Like Newport.
Potentially people driving up.
So after a certain time, you'll be allowed,
Yep.
you know.
I think it's an idea that
I think it's worth talking about.
it's worth talking about. I don't think you're gonna get an answer tonight, because I have my reservations that once the word's out that you can use water tower, it's all of a sudden gonna be magically all four-wheelers on all roads in the village.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of residents would have a lot of,
And you can't blame them.
We have issues
Yeah.
already.
We would post, no ATVs past this point, and,
yeah,
you can't keep them out, but
right.
we work off, keep them out,
Try
try
to
to.
come off the Water Tower Road, take a left down 105 and then onto.
No.
No, so go down Water Tower Road, turn on the emergency
Go behind
services,
the rec fields
and then go down the rec field, which have you talked to the town about that?
Actually, I was there last week, because I thought the meeting was gonna be there.
Okay.
I was talking to Pierre and a few others that were there. It can happen.
Right, because that's also, it's their land,
Right.
so that, it would be kind of contingent on that, because they won't let you on 105.
But again, they will, but you can only go so far,
Right.
only in certain speed zones.
And I wanna look into like traffic and stuff around with like the
So
programming
it's
we're
not
trying
on
to do up in that area and crossing.
As soon as you get out of the village, the whole, Water Tower Road's legal.
Right, but you're talking about like coming down the path of that brook to get to the.
Like
Wait,
right,
that's
right
where that
beside
goes
it.
out, right?
It's
Pardon?
like I say, it's right beside it.
There's wetlands right by 105 on the
Yeah,
end.
you can't even put a sidewalk there because of that bullshit.
I think they're gonna be on the emergency services side of that.
Could we go around,
Swell.
well, that's the.
Can you stay on the
town
road and
anyway,
go
right?
around the whole parking lot?
Yeah, that's all town land, you have to talk to them.
Right.
Go around the
Other
outside of the
than
fence
if they're worried about
Around the ball fields, and then.
Yeah, but we're trying to put playgrounds up
Sorry?
there.
The wetland he's talking
So
about.
there's-
Oh, there's
plans right
a
there.
ditch all down
in
through
the
here.
woods there.
It's wet all the time.
Yeah.
The northern
So on
border.
It'd be way
Right,
out
that's
further.
Like on this side,
You're trying to stay on
around
that
here,
side, but
there's
why couldn't you
a
just
lot of plans
Yeah,
and
more around
actions
stay
that we're
right
trying
on
to.
the road that's already there?
So you're talking further up here?
Right.
Pretty much.
Sure. Does VASA have any
You can go around ball fields. There's
any
fence.
rail trail?
There's an actual fence.
No.
And that's a no-no?
No.
That's no.
That would be an easy way in and out.
As a person who uses
No.
the rail trail, would
Yeah.
not wanna share that with a motorized
Nope.
vehicle.
Well, you already are to a certain extent.
In the winter, we stay off it.
Nobody
Try to pass it.
There'd be shared allowed on, yes.
share it with four-wheelers right now
If it
too.
was allowed, there'd be
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it as a board. Like I said, I don't want this to open the door and have a bunch of,
No, that's, this
because it has been a problem.
They're coming through here, they're trying to get uptown as fast as possible, you know?
Yeah, sometimes
Now you're
they're
trying, if you're legal, you might slow them down a while, you know?
right.
This would also cross any,
It's generally not the legal people
Future
that are causing
sidewalk.
the trouble.
Right.
Yeah, so we're looking at those,
So who
yeah,
watches
we're
out
looking
for
at
the
the sidewalk.
non-legal people?
a little further this way.
Right, how is,
Yeah.
how is
Yeah.
a law enforcement agent supposed to differentiate
Yeah.
a non-VASA from a VASA and a non-VASA
Well, if they pull
Part
over
portion
again, you know.
of the highway and a non-VASA portion of the highway, like, it's,
Isn't that been
It's a
the
bowl of
issue with, like,
spaghetti.
the enforcement of the whole thing?
Yeah.
But that's been the issue, is like
Yeah.
the state police aren't supposed to be the ones support doing this. FASA's gonna put the liability out there, but not able to cover the nut.
Oh, we've got it. I mean, we've got contracts with the, whichever sheriff we hire. We have contracts with the game wardens, fish and wildlife, state police, whether they actually do anything.
But it is funded.
Yes. Yes, VASA is part of the state. It's a
Right.
state organization, more or less. And they do have contracts with all the law enforcement.
Yep.
But this is a starting point, like you said, you guys have to ponder it, go over it and all that. And
yeah.
if you could let us know, or I'll bug you anyway. Find out.
Yeah, we'll for sure be in touch, one way or the other.
All right, guys.
Thank you for coming in. Okay, now I think it's time for the Vital Village and the request to pursue the Vermont Bicycle and Pedestrian Grant.
So, sorry for you folks. My presentation's on the TV. Oh, you can. So, for starters, what we're talking, I'm going to go into a couple things for Vital Village, but for starters, this is simply a letter of support to go after the grant, or if you decide to sign it, to go after the grant through for the Vermont Bicycle and Pedestrian. So, next page, please. So just keep that in the back of your mind. That's what it is to go after.
Can I get a magnifying glass?
Yeah, they came in a little smaller, sorry. To go after the grant for Vital Village. I think it's more, the way I look at it, it's more of a compliment to the work they do need to get done, as we've talked about. We currently don't have any wastewater. We currently need to have our water lines replaced all the way from here up to Depot Street. And storm runoff drain, there is no storm runoff from that area down to here as well. So I guess the grand plan would be, starting tonight, I guess, we apply, and there is no harm, no foul for this grant. So if we don't pursue it, it's not really a big deal per se. There's no funding we have to pay back or anything like that. So this grant is due by June 9th, and I'm working with Greta, and we basically are ready to apply for it with a letter of support. So, but kind of the bigger picture, if you will, for the next few years, because a couple of questions they ask is how we're going to fund our 20% match. And then, like we've talked about, we have some infrastructure work that needs to be done on Main Street. So the goal would be starting now with applying for the bike and pedestrian grant. One of the things Abby and I, we've talked about is the TIF process. And again, this is now, we're back to trying to figure out how to fund the infrastructure portion. So we're kind of throwing this carrot out of Vital Village and what it kind of looks like at the end. But in the meantime, we've got to work on the infrastructure. So we've been down the road and we've done some research on the TIF. Definitely is going to be, it's a long process. We're talking like 3 years, because I'll go over it real quick. On the TIF, you're basically going after we have to go through a consultant, work through a consultant, and then if the village approves the plan, has to go to the legislator body, and they have to approve it, and it could be, and the consultant,
Years.
there's only one consultant out there that basically does this, and they're backed up, so they probably won't be able to get to us until 2024. So we're talking 2-3 years. So one suggestion we came up with was a lot, which is local options tax to pay for the infrastructure project. So we'll get to that in a second. And so then our goal would be for the town meeting next year to look at the local options tax for approval. And then that also has to, so if you can get it approved from the voters in 2024 town meeting, it would go in front, we could get it in front of legislature of 2024 next spring. And if they approve it, and then it takes about a year before you start to see the funds trickle in. Because the law wouldn't take effect until the 1st, and then, you know, as you start to collect. We'll get back to that in a second if you have questions. So that'd be the idea, is to go after the local options tax. And then next summer, we've already floated the idea. Du Bois and King was the engineering firm that looked at the first study that had been done already. And I'll stop there for a second and give kudos to EI and everybody else that had been working on this. I'm not gonna take any of that credit. So then in 2024, again, we've already kind of floated out to A&E, our engineers that we use now. They didn't say no. They said, yeah, we can look at this project, and they would look at it as both the infrastructure and coming back after and looking at Vital Village. So we would be talking with them in the spring of 2024 and start that process of the engineering of the infrastructure portion of it. And then 2025, we would go to a bond vote once we get the final estimate. I mean, if I had to guess, a couple $1 million. You know, that's just a rough number going off what we're putting into Elm Street, which is water and sewer. So we go to bond in 2025. If we pass the local options tax, that starts to kick in. So then we can pay for the bond for the loan for the infrastructure. And then we go, and again, we go in front of the voters in town meeting of 2025. And then spring of 2026, we start the actual infrastructure project, hopefully. I don't know, it's a bit dreamy, but it could be possible. And then hopefully by the end of 2026, 2027, we wrap up the infrastructure portion of this. And then in the meanwhile, we would be beginning to start looking at the Vital Village streetscape design, which would then come in, I guess, and complement and clean up after we get done the work. So that's kind of the game plan and goal. Again, I'm just throwing this out there as kind of the initial timeline, if you will. Again, tonight we're just deciding if we want to go after the grant for Vital Village. But that's kind of like the main focus for the next few years as we clean up the infrastructure and then look at Vital Village.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, the bike and ped grant would only just help fund Vital Village?
So the Vital Village, it came back, and you have it in your packet. The estimate came back at like 1.7 million. And that's a new estimate that Du Bois and King went through.
582?
1.7.
1582 with the 316 match. Is that what you're looking at?
20% match.
$316,000.
No, turn the page. Great.
Oh, 142.
Yeah, that's last year's. And you should have. Can I put the new one in there?
I don't have it in my pocket.
Oh, I don't have the name. Oh, I have it in,
So you're saying that's not being funded by the village part, the lot and the tip? The lot would be for the infrastructure?
exactly. And then going forward, we have other,
Right, it's, once it's in, and you can.
Yeah.
fund it.
That would stay part of the
Yeah.
municipal.
Yeah. Have you done research as to how successful lots are?
we have, and they seem to be very successful. Couple, I mean, I can get into the sales pitch on the lot, wasn't going to do tonight, but I can.
No, I just figured you'd done your homework.
Yeah, so, no, they've been very successful. A couple of quick hits on it. You know, some people get excited about it, you know, that live in the village, but we're finding from some other cities and towns, about 60% they figure from their economists is actually paid through travelers coming through or tourists and so forth, passerbys, not the village folks. It also, I mean, one of the things is it does, you know, it does help Main Street because it's also taxed through Amazon. So if you have someone on Main Street doesn't shop on Main Street, but they're going through and buying a bunch of stuff at Amazon, their paper towels or whatever, that tax is collected and given to us. So then we can take that money and put it back into Main Street.
Have you looked at or even guesstimated the increased income to the grand list with the new appraisals coming down the road?
We have not, no.
Because that's gonna be a good chunk more money.
Yeah.
And so when you say Main Street, are you thinking the options tax only apply to those stores or all stores in the village?
Great,
It's all stores.
Yeah, it's all. No, what I'm saying is.
And would it be just village or village and town?
There's
We
no
would just-
retail in the town.
Yeah, we would just be going after the village. Ours would be through the village.
So like any street address in the village would be taxed on Amazon, right?
An extra 1%.
And anything in the village, right, it'd be an extra tax.
So we're talking Hanford's, McDonald's?
Anything in the village.
So you can do, there's,
I just
there's
want to clarify one thing. A couple of times you talked about bonds being approved in town meeting,
Yes,
village meeting.
or village, sorry.
Village meeting.
Yeah.
So there's, with the local
We're all
option
one big
tax,
family.
you have three options. You can tax just sales and use, you can tax rooms and meals, or you can tax alcohol, but it's only alcohol that's being served. So, or
That's
you
already
can, you can
10%.
choose to do all three, or you can just pick one or two of them.
Yeah, I think retail would make the most sense.
Montgomery just did one.
Correct.
Yeah, they've had it for a couple of
St. Albans
years.
has one.
St. Albans
One-
has
St. Albans town.
one, City just added it, Stowe has
Williston's
it.
had one for years.
Williston.
Yeah,
In Burlington?
There's, what did she say, there's 16 municipalities across Vermont that now have it, and more are kind of in the chute to continue to add it. It would be a change to the charter, that's why it needs to go for legislature.
I might have a tendency to leave the alcohol part alone. That's already 10%.
Yeah, cause that would
room and
be,
boards are not.
Room and meals is 9, that's,
They're already
I
taxed.
mean,
Again,
that's
it's
you know,
hard.
that's a kind of a stretch from 6.
And I mean, when you think about room, well, meals piece, but the room piece is not like a lot of availability, anyways, it's available money.
Right, it's not like we have a ski town where half of the residents
and I think you
have
could
hotels.
start with one.
Oh, what about
and then you could
Airbnbs?
do- And then you could do a vote to
They get
add-
taxed at all?
They would.
So would we benefit from those?
They get
Are
taxed,
there any
they get taxed
Airbnbs in
through
the
village?
VRBO and Airbnb.
Okay, so we would be
But-
able to benefit from that too.
Only on rooms though. So if we just went with the sales, retail or whatever, then that would not be included. So it's either all three or just one?
No, you
You
can,
know, you can pick
Pick whatever
anything
you
kind
out
of
of
an
the
a la
three
carte,
or-
you can pick
yeah.
what you
So
would
I
wanna go
mean,
with.
you said that it can be, did you say it could be changed later, like? If
Stowe
we went
started
with
out
one.
only doing rooms and meals, and they went back and voted to add in sales and use as well. So it can be that we start with one, and then down the road, we can go through the process to add it. And say we decide down the road we wanna do rooms and meals, or for alcohol sales, we can down the road.
And it's the same process every time, it would have to go through the voters and then be a charter change?
I'm not sure on if you'd have to redo the charter change depending on how it's worded, but most likely, yes, it's gonna probably
So-
be the same process.
So take like another year or so to go through the process.
Yeah, because if
wanted
we,
to
like
move.
John said, if it gets approved 2024 village meeting, then as soon as it's approved, like the next day essentially, we would want to get it to legislature. And then if they pass it, July 1st is when it takes into effect. And it's quarterly payments from the state, and it takes about six to 9 months is what I think St. Albans Town said.
So the state would collect that extra 1% and then distribute
Yes.
it back to us.
They take their cut,
They
obviously.
take a chunk of it
They
and then.
got tax our tax, right?
Exactly.
Firstly,
So out of that 1%,
It's an
we get
administrative
a
fee.
quarter of a
So we
half.
wouldn't get a 1% increase here, we wouldn't
A
see the
70%
full 1%.
increase.
70%. So when you
70%
submit your
of the
taxes, there's
1%.
not, you have to pay, if you're in that area, it's on the form. Do you have any indication of how much this town generates
have
in
to-
terms of
I've
meals
asked-
and alcohol and
Question to the tax department, have her an answer.
Yeah.
So one of the towns we met with said they had to go out and hire Thomas. They tried as well. There is a site that you can kind of get close. You can go to the
you have that
Vermont.gov.
information before you went to a town meeting.
Oh, yeah, no, we would have,
Okay.
we have.
There would
we'd
be a
have
lot
those.
of
Yeah,
marketing and
legwork.
education and
Yeah, we would start
meetings
this.
I
beforehand.
commend your foresight, I think.
And it's, again, I don't wanna say it's the quick train, but it's a quick route to getting it done and getting these funds. If I had to guess, listening to the numbers we're hearing from other towns, probably be $300,000 a year if I,
Just on the sales tax,
just on,
retail sales?
yeah, I would guess that we would take in about that.
And 1% tax would be way better than paying interest, right? Like,
Yeah, and the goal would be an offset at some point. We'd look to that so that once we get done this project, hopefully we don't.
And this will all be earmarked money that's coming in, or just be injected into the budget, however we
It
see.
Right, how would we
It
set
doesn't
that
go
up?
into the budget when we go to vote for it. You would, like, the board would have to say, okay, we're gonna do the local option tax on sales and use, and any money collected from that is gonna go towards capital infrastructure and equipment purchases. Like, you kind of designate it. Stowe kind of goes back to their residents. I think they kind of
that's
have a
what they wanna
blanket,
do.
but they go like, okay, we're gonna go use this money at town meeting, here's the game plan, just for the transparency.
Right.
Other towns, I think St. Albans just says we're gonna use it for capital infrastructure. And then just uses it and does an extensive report in their town report.
I kind of like the idea of that. Maybe have something voted on at town meeting day, like voters allow the village to use the local options tax money generated to pave Main Street. That way, everyone knows where that money's going.
Yeah.
Maybe a year by year thing then you're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically when we do the budget cycle, the thought process would be when we're planning kind of the capital projects, we at that point would hopefully know what we're getting from the local options tax and then can figure out, okay, we're gonna use,
Yeah.
50% of it's gonna go to this, 50% is gonna go to that, and then it'll be part of the budget process.
That's project money.
Yeah, that's way down in the detail of the weeds.
Yeah.
Something to think about for sure, though.
Yeah.
So the grant sounds like a good idea.
Oh, about that
sounds like
grant.
a good idea.
Was there a grant on the
Okay, you
table?
gotta sign a letter.
Yeah. Oh, just saying that's slight. So yeah, that's, again, it's gonna probably be a campaign over the next few months and, more to come on it. But, we've done some digging already, but we have some more to do.
Shall we go for it? Motion to apply for the grant?
I move we apply for the grant. Second.
Janie has the first, I heard Heather is the
Yep.
second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. Okay.
I'm just an I group.
Thank you. All the work.
We only fight when nobody's here.
Yeah.
But, it's the only time we come to goals. Feathers fly.
Just shut the shades, shut the doorways while.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have Heather penciled in. What you got?
we we're successful in writing in one of the grant applications for funding a youth center. It's the smaller of the two grants. I haven't heard about the larger one. So the Vermont Children's Trust Foundation has awarded the village $15,000 to go towards a youth center. 15,000. It's a 3-year grant. They want to revisit the application once the doors open. So basically, they don't want to guarantee us 3 years of grant funds if we don't open a youth center.
Is that 15 a year?
It goes down a little bit each year. It's roughly 15 the first year, about 12 year 2, and about 10 year 3. So we wanted to talk about making sure that we still want to accept those funds. We would be receiving the paperwork in June. Funds would be coming to us late summer. I'm still hopeful that we could do a smaller version of the youth center that we've talked about to like really get some momentum if we can find a stable
Do you have a where yet?
I have some leads.
Good.
So, and I'm putting more feelers out, and I'm also having a conversation with, well, let me go back after this. So, right, so we would be in June filling out the paperwork, and then late summer receiving the funds. With $15,000, we could provide like 2 to 3 days of a couple hours of programming. I've reached out to the Washington County Youth Services Bureau to see if perhaps we can get the services of a VISTA member or somebody else, so where they provide up to 40 hours a week of outreach, grant writing, and other opportunities that cost generally less than $15,000 to employ one of, it's not really an employment, but provide, be a host site for them. I'm also meeting on June 8th, I believe, with the Education Outreach Coordinator at Vermont Community Foundation to talk about grant opportunities with them as well. Started the conversation, we've had a little bit of back and forth. They're interested in talking further. They have opportunities for request or invitation only applications. So this is kind of like the early stages of potentially being invited for more funds. So the $15,000 is a really good seed start that says that we have some match money, and we can go forward with fundraising and maybe at the very least having some programming for youth this following year.
When would we be having a conversation about transitioning from the municipal held account to it kind of standing on its own financially?
I don't think that was ever, yeah, we would open the fiduciary fund and then we would host it
Forever.
at this point.
Yeah, so like ultimately,
What you'd be voting on tonight is you accept the grant, and that, I mean, I open the fiduciary fund, and then you would have to come up with a backup if the funds aren't used in whatever you want to say.
Yeah, like, let's say if it doesn't fly at all
Yeah, then those funds go towards,
Yeah, 5 years,
and nobody's there.
community betterment, something
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
yeah, we
vague,
put
or
the funds
whatever.
back into, we
Yes.
give that grant funds and we put the any fundraised funds back into community engagement opportunities. Yeah, and so what the goal is to have enough funds in this to hire a youth center director who would oversee programming. Ideally, there would be a board made up of predominantly or all youth to help organize it. And so the director would be responsible for the department, but grants would still come through here. And you know, John and the board would ultimately oversee that department. Until some point, if it could evolve to become its own 501c3 and stand alone, but in order to receive the funds, we do need like the backing of the municipality to be to somebody that says, we know how to pay bills and pay taxes.
Right.
So it would be a couple, if that's a goal, it would be a couple years out.
Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to think, I feel like I had more stuff I've been working on this on and off for quite a while. I do also have, I put in all of your mailboxes, but if any of you haven't seen it, we're having a community conversation with the Vermont Youth Project next Wednesday at the Emergency Services Building. So if anybody wants to take a look at this, they may. We're going to be sharing some Vermont Youth Project data and talk about belonging in Vermont and like some youth initiatives that we would like to see. So I
Well,
think,
that's good. That's great news that we got a little bit of money, get us rocking and rolling here, because cool.
yeah,
When did you say the results on that bigger grant are gonna come?
they're not out yet, and I don't know. They said that they have a lot of applicants, so it's probably going to take a little longer than they expected, and they're not going to tell you if you don't get it.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, and I did make a contact. I've been introduced by email with somebody from Senator Sanders' office to talk more about youth programs too. So I need to follow up with them. So that's like another contact.
There was a lot of funding from Bernie, right?
Well, the application that I wrote, the larger one, was through his office.
Okay.
But I know that Bernie Sanders is really into third space youth programming. So I'm hoping that maybe I can make some progress with this connection, maybe have them come up to Enosburg, and I'm also trying to do one in Richford with the Vermont Youth Project, so maybe have them tour our community and see the value. And I was late to tonight's meeting because it was in a youth forum hosted by the Vermont Council of Rural Development on youth opportunities. So I mean, it's a pretty good event.
Good. Well, I guess we're ready for a motion to start an account.
I move we start the fiduciary fund for.
Thank you for saying.
I was-
100% sure how it's done.
I second that.
I always read your mind, Sam. I try really hard.
All right, Sandy with the first,
Thank you
Eli
very
with the
much.
second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Perfect.
And what would you want to set a time frame and where the funds would go next?
5-year expiration to any unused.
If it can't get off the ground in 5 years, it's not going to.
Yeah, so, 5-year, any unused funds to be used towards community development, or not development.
Betterment.
Betterment. That's a word, right?
It's a word. It's better than worserment.
Okay. Last thing is, last thing for the open meeting. Second to last, I guess. Manager's report.
So just quick update on cybersecurity. We are working on it. It is kind of a little bit of a hot topic in the municipality world. So I am working on a playbook currently with IT. So everything IT, OT, and physical security. So kind of an in-house thing, but just kind of want to give you a heads up that we are working with VEPSA helping us, and then a group called CISA, CISA. It's a federal branch of the federal government, and we have a local lady, she covers the whole state, and basically there's no charge, it's federally funded. So we're working on the cybersecurity portion of the business. So just a heads up there. Water meters, there are 2 separate but similar projects that we are working on right now. And this is another campaign we're going to be kind of pushing forward with because we might need access into folks' homes. So the 2 are federally mandated, and then down to the state, we're doing a inventory on the piping that comes in from the curb into the water meter. So they want to know what material that is, if it's galvanized or whatever. So the other initiative that we have going on is we're going to be upgrading to the new water meters, which will be AMI as well. So we'll be able to do water readings right from the office. So this summer, again, this is more of a sales pitch for the few people in the public that are here. We are going to be probably knocking on doors this summer to get in and then probably, hopefully, take a picture. So the initial visit will be to satisfy the inventory portion of getting into the home. And then while we're in there, we're going to try to take another picture and get some more information that we've never had before on the water meters themselves. So
I will not be held responsible for cobwebs.
we're not, like I used to say in the cable industry, we're not the the house police. We're just coming in to take
Yeah, well, if they
pictures.
get
and-
caught in them, I'm not getting them out.
Yeah, so we're sure we're gonna be going to the dark, deepest corners of some houses, but so that's kind of the game plan. Coming up this summer, again, we're gonna be campaigning it, because it's, we've been hearing from other towns and villages, even though this is, they're changing out some of these pipings and so forth, and even though it's no cost to the customer, they're still struggling to get into homes and get a hold of people.
Of course, it's hard to have so many homes where there's never anybody home.
Yeah,
So it's no cost, but the municipality's gonna bear the cost of upgrading that?
it's all part of the water, which part? So we don't know, we're sure there's gonna be another shoe that falls on the whole entry into the home from the federal government. I'm sure they're taking this inventory, they're gonna take the data back and come back at us at some point in the future, God knows when, to say we have to change these or not change these or whatever. The meter part is all part of the financing that we've essentially already approved for our AMI. So we're changing over the electric meters and the water meters.
But the material from the street in, if you see the material that states says, yeah, we want that replaced.
We don't know, we haven't done that road yet.
Okay, because that's gonna be a big part of your campaign, they'll be allowed in the house if they,
Yeah.
I want you to see my.
Well,
You're
like I
not
said,
coming in if it's gonna cost me money, so
Exactly.
to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bennington, so yes, we'd have to figure that out, but I talked to the town manager in Bennington, and again, it's free, they got this big huge grant to replace it all from the curb in, and again, they're struggling to get into people's homes.
But if we,
Even though it doesn't cost the customer a penny.
that would, I mean, that part of the campaign would
penny
help
for
us
the-
tremendously, letting
for
them
the-
know.
For the look-see, it won't cost us any money.
No,
To put the meter in, it wouldn't cost money to the tenant or the homeowner.
No, the meter upgrade.
Right,
Right.
but that's if everything from the meter back to the curb is up to
So
snuff.
two separate projects totally.
Right.
We're doing the meter
Right.
as part of our AMI project. We're replacing power meters and water meters so that we can
So
see and
read back.
record right here, yep. We don't need a quote unquote meter reader anymore. The other project is, we just have to know what the services are from the curb in.
Just an
We haven't been instructed that we have to
And-
change anything
We
yet.
haven't heard
and in
anything.
Bennington, the grant covered that cost.
Grant was it was before this inventory, it was something they got because they had a big issue down there, and again,
So it's possible.
Like,
I don't know, I have no idea what it's gonna look like.
Will you check sewer lines? If you're gonna go in houses and either replace or look at water meters, would you at the same time, say, do a
We're gonna try to.
scan of the sewers?
We're gonna
while
try
we're
to
in there?
survey, yeah, I mean, to see, again, it's
More
not
complex.
our responsibility as the homeowners, but we were trying to.
But-
Yeah.
so I'm gonna tear up Orchard Street for septic cover fill, that's a good idea. I mean,
The,
that, to
yeah,
me-
we did that in West Springfield too.
Yeah.
If ever they went in and you had to do something with your water meter, they would come in with the camera for the sewer line.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So since there's such a difficult, getting customer data and getting into customers' houses is difficult, are they making it so the customer can report, like send their own pictures of it?
So that's one thing we're working with Alderson Elliott, who's our engineer. We're working, they're starting kind of the campaign and we're finishing it up, if you will. That's one suggestion that we've been told, is maybe if you don't want us in, Eli, can you send us a picture? Everybody's got a camera now.
Take 3 good
You take
pictures
3
of the
pictures.
water meter and surrounding area and send it to blah, blah, blah,
That could be a
Enosburg.com with your street address.
Yeah.
Yeah, but couldn't people take a picture of a different house if they don't want to show what they got?
Oh, you got a new house hacks, right? I'm gonna
Yeah.
go take pictures of yours.
Leonard, that would be a real pain, don't do that.
So yeah, that's, but I mean, we still kind of, I mean, yes, they may come to us, we're not gonna throw that out there yet. We're gonna try to get access first because, hey, we know what the meters are, we know what we're gonna need. That's the big thing, what they gonna take a
I'm just
picture.
gonna start by asking.
Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. Did question, you're good?
We'll ask with cookies. That's okay.
Well, you're welcome in my basement, but I'm just saying, don't touch my water stuff though, because it's sketchy from there to.
Just a picture. And then just another heads up for the solar project up in our, the property up in Berkshire. I'm still waiting to find out, we were supposed to have a meeting last week, but the lady from the solar company had an issue and didn't make the meeting. So we started there, they were supposed to only have to do 30 test pits for archaeological. And I guess every project has to go through this. But now they're coming back saying they may want to harrow the whole field and look at it. If they do that, they'll immediately, I guess, go back and plant some kind of crop on top of that so that it kind of regrows before we go back and put solar panels on.
It's really nice to work in a freshly harrowed.
But I guess it was never harrowed before. Yeah, that's what I said. It's not gonna be muddy. But it supposedly, according to the archaeologist, that field's never been harrowed once in all these years. So we
Push
just
for the test pits, it's gonna be a mess.
yeah. So I am, but the state's been pushing for that. So I haven't heard an update, but I just wanted to update you on that. The fountain is in. Just another side note, but they just struggled today to get the waters, the pools filled, but must be here on the line. They had kind of had to call it a day before they can actually get the fountain running, so they're gonna go back at it tomorrow morning.
Nice.
So. Good, but
Well, thank you, John.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Other business? Does anybody have any other business? Dave, I'm sure you got something.
No,
No?
I'm just here tonight to support Vital Village.
Good.
That's
Appreciate
good.
that.
So, oh, I should. Dalton?
speed bump?
Trying to think of what I was gonna say. I had
Yes.
2 things on my head.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, so one was, so we've been going to the trustees and the select board meetings, so here are the trustees wanting to update and have updates on the process around ordinances. Apparently, from what we understand from another meeting, that it's looking at the town or the village ordinances around garbage and junk, and so where are we with that here in this realm?
So we have the ordinance. If you have suggestions, I can start calling them. I was waiting on that list.
So you have the ordinance?
We have an ordinance. I
Has
have,
it been changed?
no,
So my understanding from Jesse is that they're looking for detail that supposedly needs to be worked on before he's going to do his part with the town, such as if there's a violation, then X amount of days after that, you get this letter, and then X amount of days after that, so get to the point where you can perfect a penalty or a lien. So that works.
He can do that right now.
in the village, our ordinance is pretty clear on all of that.
So what, this just needs to be adopted by the town or something then? Just
The
say-
town is
So,
separate, yeah. I don't know.
if anything, it sounds like there's confusion with the zoning
Again.
town or village, but I think the way that
Jesse's
it's set up,
saying-
it's joint, so it's kind of an officer of both the town and the village. Because if you read the ordinances, it'll say, designated officer or duly authorized agent of the village is able to solicit any of these penalties. So, by the way I read that, it could be any trustee, any employee,
So, yeah, it
and
was,
that would include zoning. But zoning oversees health as well, the health department, health inspector, whatever. So they ultimately are the first stop with a violator. So if you have trash mountain on your front porch, it's the health inspector that's gonna show up. Then it works its way up the chain from there.
So I want to be the pain on your guys' side and up there as well to get something done. It's amazing the people you run into from out of town are like, what is going on here? What's going on there? Like, what's going on Main Street? I'm not gonna point out specific places, but it's definitely being observed by people outside of town, new people coming in, people that go to the wedding venue, come through town and they're asking you, like, what's going on as you come in, so I think there needs to be either a concerted meeting to make sure that there can be action done. I'm thinking of sending you all addresses and pictures, and I hate to be that person, but nothing seems to be being done. And, the snow's gone, it's spring now, and it's a slippery slope for our village if we don't deal with it.
so did you ever get the address list of?
I do have so that tenant landlord issue, I've got that, and I haven't been moving on that as I should.
Who's the health inspector again, do you know?
Sandy Murphy.
Sandy Murphy.
Okay. Because I know that
Yeah.
position was vacant for a while, right?
I think she's been it for over a year now.
She's been it as long as I've been here.
Yeah, and so you have the health issue when it's strictly garbage, then you have the junk issue, which, you know, I mean, I think that would be an easier addressable thing, because you can call in rats and you can call in, you know, all of that.
Well, that's health and safety.
That.
Yeah.
Then you also have just the junk, and it's demeaning. I looked up the ordinance, and when it affects your property value and the you know, those things certainly feel need to be addressed. I don't know if there would be a moment to one of you set up a conversation with Jesse because it sounds like there's two different pages going on here.
Yeah.
They're getting a wait and see.
Or something.
When I talk to them and him, and like they're waiting for something to happen, and you're saying we're all good here, so I think there needs to be a conversation.
I believe everything is good to go.
So
There has been talk about strengthening that ordinance, or actually creating its own kind of like sub-ordinance as far as like trash and lawns, lawn care, stuff like that, junk, just general.
I guess you have to define junk and garbage somehow, right? That's the thing. Is
Or
like,
Yeah.
We don't, I mean, that's one thing that that was mentioned to me, that, yeah, is it when, as they say, when someone's junk is another man's treasure type thing.
Right.
but-
If it hasn't been 30 days is when it's junk.
Yeah, so our ordinance speaks to all of that, it doesn't, so I can think where you might have, or he might have questions, and we see him Fridays. I've been, I had a meeting with him again
Can
Friday.
you bring it up?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I think for them, on the town side, I think it was a little bit of his role. And then that's when I got luckily the duty appointed to also be an officer, whatever you want to call it,
I guess
to
nobody wants to be that guy.
be the call.
He's our
Hard
village call.
conversation to have.
It is, but after you, I think, you know.
Well, it's also
after
repetitive.
you said that once or twice, you know, you're gonna get used to the reaction piece. And, you know, a lot of it, I think, could be solved with a phone call. And half the
Well, that's, so again, it's just repetitiveness, it's
Right.
time, you know, because I've called some of these landlords and things did get done.
Right.
And then, you know.
But that was without the threat of a fine, right?
What's that?
That was without the threat.
Right, no, this was a simple, you know, and again, I think that's the process I'm gonna use is the first one's a shot across the bow of, hey,
Shot across your bow.
it's type of, you know, this is happening and can we get it taken care of, and then.
It's just, it seems like he's looking for like a very specific guideline piece that's gonna lay out how the process is gonna work. And like, so when you hand somebody the ticket, you hand them this too. I don't know, that's what it seems like Jesse's looking for. I don't know.
We
if
got the
that's
ticket book.
There are steps in place, yeah.
Yeah, that's already there, then
Yeah.
you just,
Yeah.
so somebody needs to show
You've
Jesse.
you've issued a few tickets already this year, right?
I haven't had to issue a ticket yet, but I've called, and again, there was things.
Well, just actually having something to back up a threat is
Yeah.
probably
Yes.
enough. And hopefully it is enough, and we can.
We got our number, right?
Yeah, I got the number.
I
got
will
my-
make a point of sharing that list. I've got the list, as far as going to the other end on the other stuff, I haven't done that yet. And the second thing that I wanted to bring up, which is awkward at the very least, is, so you just received $212,000, and is that money earmarked toward things already? Or can that be looked at like the possibility of use, which maybe some of us thought ARPA funds would have been used for specific projects, fixing the fountain, helping with the sign, things that you don't normally, in the role of your duty of maintaining infrastructure and roads and whatnot, and I understand why that went there to lower the tax rate. Now you have money that was not raised by tax funds. What are your thoughts and plans with that money?
But we don't really have it yet. It was actually part of our executive topic tonight to discuss, kind of where we've put that, I guess, at this point. It's just sitting.
Is it still executive? Like the whole discussion topic?
I don't know why it wouldn't. I don't know when it comes not executive, I guess.
Is it completely
It
settled?
is completely settled, so it's
Okay.
not.
So, yes, we do, and, did it go to water? Is it going to water?
It's sitting in our
It's in
water.
a savings account.
Since it was a water department issue, it's currently over in the water department. So,
But your budget that you created this year didn't anticipate that money or the ways to expend it. Are you saying it's going to be spent on water issues, or could it be looked at for those things that, doesn't fit into street fund or electric fund or whatever. Those things that are above and beyond, that would be something that would be benefit, the word would you use, community betterment or something like that. I would encourage you to, look at that possibility. Unanticipated funds, just like the ARPA was unanticipated funds. It's like a lottery that I referred to. Here you got this money, let's look at some possibilities that we wouldn't have been able to look at otherwise.
Yep. So we, as a board, we haven't discussed that because it just barely happened.
Yeah, right.
So,
That's why we're here.
yeah,
Because the last round of this odd money that came in seemed to be delegated to certain funds without a lot of input out of the community.
the ARPA money, you mean?
Yeah.
So so I just wanna make it clear that we had meetings on meetings on meetings about the ARPA
Right.
funds.
Quite possibly, I guess, but and
We did.
I've had the same conversation at the town meetings and and I brought up the subject. We had $800 and some odd $1,000 injected into our economy, and you guys in the town never even had a conversation about it, not one. And the fact that went on and there wasn't some sort of earmark place for her passion here in this town, or the 5,000 other passions that are going on in this town sometimes, is a little disheartening. I get that we missed the vote. I didn't show up for, if there were meetings, I missed them all, I suppose, except for a few.
There was I believe ARPA came up in joint meetings too. So we did have discussions.
Yeah, well, according to everybody, that's what the town did with theirs, and that's what the village did with that. That's the actual answers I've been getting from both sides.
All right, so I guess the answer is yes, we can look at it, we haven't even had a chance.
Right.
That hasn't settled yet, if you will.
Yeah,
So we haven't had a
let it be
chance
known
yet.
that there's some interest in where this money's gonna be spent, and that all of a sudden you get $200,000+ injected into the system that's unaccounted for. I get it, let's pay some bills with it, that's kinda cool, but
Honestly,
it'd
one-
shut me up if it was spent on things that weren't like the typical taxable situations.
Well, the fountain was operational, so that's,
No, I mean,
No,
that's just a
The
thing.
base around
Right.
the fountain needs repair, the maple park
Yeah.
needs topsoil, things that are more like, something was talked about, stairs on I think you guys were
On the
kicking
bandstand.
that around for next year. I mean, these are things that
The money's just like,
are like frosting for
free.
people that is gonna be enjoyed by everybody.
so those ideas are actually really good. And we had a list, when we were first sitting down deciding what we were gonna do with the ARPA money, we had a list, like just a general revolving, where everyone could collectively dump any ideas they had of where this ARPA money should go. And I'd like to know the actual number of how many meetings we had with that as an agenda item, just like, hey, what do we wanna do with it? Hey, what do we wanna do with it? I bet it was over 6. So, at the end of the day,
That ship sailed.
that's,
So we
yeah,
did
that's where it went, but, so with this new batch of money, we're gonna need to sit down and think about where it needs to go, because it should go to the water department, but I get what you're saying about, enhancing the community with it. That's how would you say, the customers pay to support the water system. So, I can see that it would be a lot more beneficial to get $212,000 of unbudgeted money into the general fund, that we can do whatever we want with it. I agree with that, but we need to discuss where it should go, not where it would be better to go.
The budget that you built, the taxpayers are funding that budget they passed, correct?
Which budget are you
The one
referring
we're
to, the
working on
general
right
fund or the water budget? They're two separate budgets.
The water budget.
That's not voted on by taxpayers. The only one that's voted on is the general fund. The
So,
water fund was.
But
approved
your
by the
rates
trustees.
are built in to pay for they present a budget, if it's not to the public, they present a budget, water department
Yeah.
present
Right.
sewer, they all present.
It obviously is above and beyond.
Right, and this is above and beyond, and, I just really, really strongly look at that list. I think it would be great cause otherwise we're coming here, begging for, 20,000 for a sign or whatever. That would be great to have a fund like that. It would be available for these types of things.
I mean, there's
And the town, the same discussion still going with the town. The town's ARPA money is sitting in their highway department. I bet money that is gonna go to the salt shed, but would love to see that
because
used
they don't find
for,
the salt sheds anymore.
Well, it's hard, because I kind of made this point at the last joint meeting that we were talking about ARPA funds.
Yeah.
And the question got arose, like, hey, what'd you do with it? And why'd you do that? So I guess my answer was like, would you rather have your tax rates skyrocket, because it was gonna be going up by quite a lot this year if we didn't kind of try to stay
What is that number? That was the thing, is we did bring that question. Quite a lot. I don't know, but it's a lot. That's.
But it's quite a lot, I guess.
Yeah,
I think it was like a 14-cent hike, if that number rings a bell. We settled on 9.
Or whatever, the 14-cent hike to pay for.
No, that's what taxes would have went up if we didn't intervene with that ARPA money. And what we ended up doing was killing off a lot of our old debt services or high interest rate loans on capital projects that we had 5-10 years ago. That way, not only is that money cash and liquid, but it's saving us more money by killing those 7%, 4%, those high interest loans. So.
And I wouldn't forget that the reappraisal is gonna really affect everybody, and it's gonna affect everybody certainly in their taxes, and that's understandable. We're under this CLE, so we have to, I understand that. And as a homeowner, I understand that, and multiple properties, we're really gonna be like, get it. I just think that, remember that influx boosts our grand list, which is really gonna make your budgets in the future better. I mean, you're gonna be looking at spreading that out over a bigger property base.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, what hurt today would hurt differently in a different way with the reappraisal, but wouldn't be hurting in the budget tomorrow.
Yes.
Because that's where you're gonna get that savings. So, I mean, just keep that whole big picture in mind, that you're gonna be having this, because we're down quite a bit. What are we, 8% below, what are we, CLE, I don't know.
Well, again, from our end,
CLA, yeah.
and there's a lot of talk of it, but we're hearing this could be 5, 6, 7 years because of appraisers and they can't get them and the whole process, so.
There's statewide, there's multiple municipalities that are in the
Yeah.
same boat, so people that should maybe get their reappraisal next year are, like John said, 4 or 5 years down the
Yeah,
road.
so this may not be next week, it's might, and we
Yeah.
can't say, but that's the rumor mill in the municipality world that, that could.
But otherwise, we're destitute. We can't buy groceries next week because that's what I'm seeing is like, we've got a budget that pays for everything around this community, pays for everything, and then we have, as of right now, in my count, we're over $600,000 thrown into the budget from nowhere, be it scratch ticket, right? It was free money just handed out to pay for something that, in my eyes, we already paid for as a taxpayer, right?
What's that?
Everything. We have a budget that's supposed to suffice for, pay for everything in this town, right? That's the way it's supposed to work, generally speaking.
Well, no, I mean, so.
Taxpayer revenue is supposed to pay for keep this town afloat.
Not only things that are in the grand list. So anything in the electric department is funded by.
Right, but it's funded by itself.
Yep, same with water, same with wastewater.
Mm-hmm.
So really the only thing that are impacted would be any capital like paving project or anything updates to, village property and such.
Right, but my taxes paid on the few properties here in this village don't pay for paving on.
And so traditionally, the financial process was go borrow. We need to pay whatever. So we'll borrow 300,000 to pay whatever, and then your taxes are gonna pay that back, and then interest rates go. So we're trying to change that mindset a bit. So we're trying to, like Sam said, we're trying to pay down some of the debt, and we're trying to build up a little bit of a nest egg, if you will, rainy day fund. So then, when we have these projects, we don't have to go to the taxpayers and say, hey, listen, we need to go build this or pave this or whatever. We can do an inter-fund loan and borrow from ourselves and pay our own selves back interest, which only benefits everybody. So that's kind of the concept that we're trying to go to. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is not wrong, but again, and unfortunately, even in the eyes of the state, that's not the way. They'd rather us go borrow whatever money to go pay for this. We're just trying to not do that because, we just feel financially, it in the long run, it's going to benefit everybody. So that we don't have to go back for more taxes or whatever increase in the future. Because again, in my mind, it's what we should be doing, our due diligence. I mean, would you want to? I mean, if you had $10,000, or do you want to go borrow 100,000 or whatever? I mean, you're going to want to be financially do things properly, right? So again, the only thing that Abby and I had discussed with that money, and not all of it, some of it, was to invest it, you know, and we look at investing, so then we can build out a little bit of nest egg. So then when we have these projects, either A, we get a grant and needs matching, so if we have a grant like this, 20%, it'd be nice to have that $350,000 and 20 matching just sitting in a bank somewhere. It's okay, we need it, bang, we've got it. We don't have to go out and do a bond, we don't have to go out and get a loan, we don't have to do any of those things. That's kind of the concept.
$600,000 that we're talking about right now
No.
would not fund that, is what you're saying.
Well, I would say closer to 400,000, not 600,000.
Well, let's just put it in perspective. How much debt did we have? Remember we just did a consolidation loan?
On that whole sheet.
Yeah.
It was 4 million, 4 to 5 million.
So when you say you got, you know, over $500,000 injected into the community, whatever. If you put it up in, like if you just size it up to what our debt is, that's kind of, it's still a big deal, but it's not like, you know, you have your community center, your community pool, or whatever the people agree to purchase. So
Right.
we're just trying to get ahead of it. That way we don't have to.
So from sitting at like the Opera House, we're my Opera House hat, which, as you know, the village and the town both own the Opera House, and it's been put out to the general fund of the town to maintain that building so that it exists. And I've got this ditching project, and I've got, you know, we've got doors that you can see through. And I'm scrambling around trying to get grants and whatnot for $10,000 to fix a set of doors, and trying to get people to help out. And you guys have offered very generously to help out on the ditching. And then when it comes down to it, it's like, you know, well, we can't spare a person. I'm not saying you guys, town and village, multiple conversations. We can't spare anybody to go dig there. It's gonna be really hard. Why don't you get a bid out from Seth or from Good Hughes? And I'm like, really, you've got people in both. Now, if we had that money there, I'm like, fine. You don't want to spend from your capital of your people and your payroll and let them come, you know, help for 2 days on a historical building that's 130 years old.
Like
And this fund was sitting there, you know, $10,000 out of 212 or 400 or 800 or whatever in the combined things, be like, that'd be awesome. People are working so hard to try to save everything, and then have something like that come forward, you know, would not be an act of God. It would be a, you know, an easier thing, or even if it was a matching, I'm going for fun, we got the matching, I got it.
I mean, that must be the town.
It's frustrating.
we've
No,
offered
I said town and village, I'm
I
trying
mean,
to.
we offered up.
Oh, no,
both.
you're good.
Okay.
So come to us with more ideas, seriously, because if we don't know what, I'm just gonna say the village people want. If we don't know, then we can't set aside any money, we can't help you out.
Yeah.
But if
Well,
people
like,
come to us with
our house thing
ideas.
isn't really, we're not trying to lay that in your lap. We understand that there's funding from the taxes that pay for that.
Yeah.
So we understand, and that's always like, well, and then it's like, well, that's the town. So then we get that one. Then we go to the town and they're like, oh, you know, we just spent $480 million frickin' dollars on whatever. I get it. But so where are we supposed to come up with money for this stuff? Just simple little $10,000 here. I hear you. We're going to invest this $200,000 so that we can maybe next year with our investments.
So don't take that, like I said, that, that's one option.
No, I'm just saying
I
that-
want to come
that's
back in a
one way
week
to-
saying, well, we didn't get to.
No,
have
I'm
our
not
voice.
saying it, but I'm just saying that investment is where at some point down the road, we're gonna come up with this money that our conversations together is like, there's always funding for something. Well, there isn't for some of these little small things. There isn't. Like, we can't go get a grant for something every time. We can't go, you know, who's gonna do that? Who's gonna go get a grant? That's another thing. Like, we looked at the parameters that they were given to the state when they issued this ARPA fund. Some of that money was like, oh, you can use this for seed money to start a grant writer's position. You know, it's like, oh, $80,000, you throw it there and put a position, and now you got a guy that's making $400 million for the town every year.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, that's and that, on that piece, you gotta have the right guy, and you gotta give a lot of supervision. Apparently, that seems like that's what the ball was dropped on the supervision piece on that end.
No,
as much as anything.
The opportunities are endless as long as the money's there.
Right.
But
And I will
at
send
the
you
end
some
of the day,
ideas.
we gotta figure out what is better for our tax base.
I guess our
And
point
to
would
give
be,
to not gamble it, you know what I mean? Like, just to be safe and just to make sure that we always do what we think is the right thing and not necessarily
Right on.
what everyone wants us to
I
do.
understand the burden of due diligence, that's
Right.
what you're talking about.
And I don't think any money spent on the community is anything gambling, honestly, we're just picking away a little bit at a time here, but
Right.
I understand that there is you guys have to make sure the money goes in the right place, but I'd hate to see this one get absorbed and forgotten about, and if you came to the EI with like some ask for some, listen, we just had $400,000 donated to the town of Enosburg. You guys have any ideas of a way to spend some of this money? That didn't ever happen. Just saying, if you're looking for a group of concerned citizens, these people are available.
And they were knowledgeable about the ARPA funds. I just want to say, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Right.
So we can put all of the information, flyers, we can ring the bell and say, look, we're talking about ARPA tonight. And you may have 3 to 6 people sitting in your room having a conversation.
That's enough sometimes.
And I think he hears you. I mean, you just look at some communities who had like a big community forum, you know, Highgate, Fairfield, Franklin had huge community forums. Come tell us what you think we should do with ARPA money. And that was the only point of the meeting. It wasn't in an agenda of a trustees or whatever, but it's done with, got it, understand, you know.
And we're not trying to open this piece up to like the whole world, but we're just trying to make you guys aware that maybe if you can figure out a way to save a piece of this for something, you know, I get the rainy day fund thing, but you know, we got people standing around here like looking for a little bit of money all the time. A revolving fund for.
And we are working on that too. I mean, we are.
Right, but
That's something
this is
we're
a
working
strong
on.
piece for that too. It's like, well, what are we gonna do with it? It's free money. I get, like you said, if I get $10,000, then maybe I'll just pay my truck off.
And I wouldn't say it's free money. I would say it's recovered damages.
Very generously,
Yeah, it seems generous.
yeah, above the standard, but.
It's not free money, we're all paying for it. Every one of us paying for that money, it's not free money. We're all paying taxes, that's where it's coming
I'll
from.
educate you on that afterwards.
You know where to get free money? I just wanna say, you folks aren't the only ones in this kind of situation. The town also owns a lot of this. And ARPA funds with the town, we have discussed with the town, select board many times about ARPA funds, and they say, but they're in the highway fund. But they're in the highway fund. We can't use it because it's in the highway fund. I don't know about you guys, but I think that money could be channeled out of the highway fund.
Well, they say it like it can be. That's the way it's
It
mentioned.
got in there somehow, it can probably get out.
Wait, you're right. So, but I just want to say that, you know, we're having this conversation with. you know,
Yeah, we're not just
We're not just sitting here arguing. But I guess because you guys were the forerunners in figuring out how to use the money, the town went, well, they put theirs in the highway fund, so that's what we're doing. That's kind of how it went. And that's honestly, that's the answer we got sitting in front of them was those words. Well, that's what they did with ours. And they're like, well, they didn't share with us, so we're not sharing with them. And it's like, that doesn't work for me. I mean, so who pays the price?
Come up with
I'm not gonna start anything.
Right,
But
the conversation was had to those words.
I'm sure it was, but, yeah.
And I know it's,
Just leave it at that.
Unfortunately, when it came to the joint meeting time, I think minds were kind of already made up where it was gonna go, so the conversation was more an education of where it was gonna go, not where it could go. And so, because when we were there, we were getting information on where it went, not where it was.
That would probably be the last joint meeting we
Yeah.
talked
I guess
about.
that's the one where.
When is the next joint meeting?
We've just had one, we've been going quarterly and the town hosts next time, so we haven't set a date yet.
Okay.
So we just had one in.
Well, I thank you for considering, and if there's any ideas, which I do have a few, that wouldn't be from us ones, but I'll
Get it done.
let them know, yeah.
And we're not sitting here blaming everybody else. Let's understand that this is a small town, small community. I'm not saying that you're a bad guy or anybody's a bad guy. I just feel as though the decision-making process maybe, you know, jumped the rails a little bit and we didn't catch on quick enough in the town, maybe whatever.
Yeah.
But we're trying to avoid a little bit of that, maybe if this could be a possibility.
No, I get that. I was prepared to defend our choice of where the money went.
Mhm.
But what does ARPA stand for again?
American Recovery.
Yeah.
Rescue,
And
American Recovery and Rescue Act.
Yeah,
something along those
Yeah.
lines.
and when you look at the
Literally-
parameters that they laid out, there was a worksheet that they gave out, like,
Well, there was,
okay, try this.
there was rounds, so the first round it was a lot more restricted.
Right, and the second
then-
round, they opened it up,
Yeah.
and that's the ones I'm referring to, and I read the guidelines, they're like, a lot of, recruit a bunch of concerned citizens to help figure out what to do with this money, create a revolving loan fund, you know, things like that down.
You could literally have gone
Didn't
to
say build a salt
businesses
shed.
who lost money in COVID and say, show me the money you lost during COVID, and you could have spent ARPA funds to help them recover.
We could take some of the businesses that
Through,
got a fortune.
But you could.
That they haven't lost.
That was in the guidelines, you could.
was
do
that allowed through local government or state and federal?
Through local government, in those guidelines. So you did have someone come to you talking about a new business, it wasn't quite worded well, and I said, you know, what you need to do is you need to articulate what you lost from COVID, how you had to hire extra places for your kids to be for COVID, and say, this is what I lost for COVID, that would have fallen in your parameters. Even though they weren't even a nonprofit, but that's just, it was pretty widespread on some.
I'd have to look at that, I wasn't aware, I thought that was more on a state and federal level.
Well, they set the parameters, and if they fit in the guidelines, then it's a voted thing.
But then the timing of the parameters, but yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's-
We don't need, yeah, that's
Right.
behind us, but yeah.
Well,
But anyways,
thank you.
Well, thank you for coming in.
thanks for having us.
No problem. Come again. Come again. Not 2 weeks, but 3 weeks, because we gotta.
If anybody wants to talk about youth stuff,
I've got it on my calendar.
awesome.
Okay.
Okay, you probably do too.
Yeah, if she does, he does. Most likely.
And just a reminder that on the way home, anybody that needs any fertilizer, there may be still some up by bay.
Somebody lose a load? Oh, there, yes, that's right, the horse, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Have a good night,
Perhaps
guys.
that's where our first fine should go.
Probably.
They don't have license plates, so how can you identify them?
The tail?
Yes.
Was it braided or not?
Okay, I need a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing negotiations and personal matters in which premature public knowledge may compromise the position of the municipality.
Move. A second.
Eli, Heather the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
hold on,